friends. As always, extremely delighted to speak to you on careers and life. A very, very interesting podcast and a topic. But one caveat, if you're not interested in executive search as a career option, or if you're not really looking at or exploring career options, I'd really ask you to skip this video and probably share it to someone else who might find it very, very interesting. This is a part of an entire series about career options, particularly focused on India, which I'm putting up. Not necessarily focused on freshers, but even experienced folks. Executive search is one kind of area where there are no entry barriers as far as what kind of experience you have, and it is also very, very important to know that executive search profession doesn't really call for a dedicated career path, meaning it is not that someone out of college should join executive search and probably forever remain in executive search. In that sense, executive search as a field is very, very interesting, very, very exciting. Tremendous amount of learning opportunities, a very, very growing industry in India, and a very, very mature industry in terms of how it operates. What is executive search? A very, very quick take. Executive search is nothing but hiring senior professionals for client organizations. You have executive search firms of all sizes and hues and colors. These executive search firms' role is essentially to provide leadership talent to client organizations. These client organizations can be any kind of organizations. They can be large manufacturing organizations, they can be large technology organizations, IT firms, startups, startup ecosystem companies in that space. So be it any kind of company, manufacturing, technology, textiles, textile processing, pharma R&D, name the industry, and that industry or a player in that industry, a company in that industry will require an executive search firm to hire talent at leadership level. And of course, the word leadership level gets very often repeated in executive search because one differentiation why what executive search professionals really want to make from other recruiters, conventional recruiters, is that they hire talent only at leadership level. Of course, this Lakshman Rekha is probably getting very blurred over time, because now even at mid level, for example, even at above general manager, many organizations use executive search firms. In that sense, executive search as a term is being used very, very loosely, I can say. But yes, the focus is always on leadership talent. And when I say leadership talent, is essentially hiring CEOs, hiring board members, hiring CTOs, hiring head of functions, head of learning and development, head of technology, head of infrastructure, head of R&D in a pharma company. You name the leadership position, and it will need the services of an executive search firm. This is what an executive search firm does. You have a lot of executive search firms in India. One set of firms are homegrown, meaning Indian founders have found those companies, and there are also another set of companies which are international executive search firms. If you hear names like Stanton Chase, Kelly Services, they have got an executive search division. So these are the kind of names which are international names. You have a host of Indian names as well. So you've got all kind of players. You've got homegrown executive search firms which are restricting themselves to locations. You have international firms which have their services spread across geographies, Asia Pacific region, US, Europe, and countries like that. So there executive search firms are very, very different kind. And in terms of structure, executive search firm typically has got a head of operations for the country, or somebody who is called a managing director, and below the managing director there are a set of partners. How it is structured is these partners essentially are specialists in terms of functional areas or domains. It can be either way. There could be one partner for pharmaceutical industry, there could be one partner for technology space, there could be one partner for manufacturing companies. So it goes on and on. And below the partner there will be a very, very small team of people essentially who are in the service delivery and in terms of executing mandates. Now, what is a mandate? A mandate is a client telling you to find people for them. So that is a mandate. For example, if you have a large organization and your organization wants to find a head of learning and development, and that assignment is given to us, I'm having the mandate of finding a learning and development professional or head of learning and development for you. So that is a mandate. So these mandates are executed by a small team, which consists of research professionals and a partner who leads the entire initiative. A partner is also the one who front ends the client in terms of holding client interactions, taking brief from the client, coming back with the feedback of the client and things like that, and he shares those feedbacks with the small team, and the team in turn refines their search. So this is how it broadly works. So in terms of career opportunities in these firms, there are very, very exciting opportunities. Essentially, these smaller teams look at people with any kind of experience. It is not that only freshers are looked at for the team roles or individual roles. You have what is called as research associates. You have what is called as junior partners. Nomenclature might be very different, but essentially what I wanted to emphasize is these executive search firms itself, by virtue of the nature of the business, are very, very flat. They probably have only 3 or 4 levels within the organization, the topmost level being the managing director, and the bottommost level essentially being the research associate. These research associates report to somebody who is reporting to the partner and who is responsible for delivery or execution of one particular mandate. So that's how it works. So for example, if a company is asking to find a CEO for a 500 crore turnover public listed company, that assignment is given to the small team, and this team carries down the work of finding the suitable candidates for this role, speaking to those candidates, arriving at a final short list, and then from this from these shortlists, picking up a final set of long list of candidates. This long list of candidates is then scrutinized by the partner, and the partner in turn, with his experience and discretion, goes ahead and shares a first long list with the client, and then from the long list, the client and this partner work together, arrive at a short list, and then go ahead in terms of what kind of people should be called for the interview discussions and how the hiring process should go on and on. So what kind of skills are required in these roles? Essentially, these skills, one is extreme level of confidence, second is extreme level of extremely good communication skills, extremely good understanding of any industry you work on. Again, these kind of skills can be picked up if your excellent communication skills are in place, if you have the drive and urge to become an executive search professional. Then depending on which industry is assigned to you, you obviously have to pick up learnings from that industry. For example, if you have to work in the pharmaceutical business or life sciences business, it is not necessary that you come from that particular background. As long as you have an urge to learn, you have a drive to pick up new things, drive to understand the hierarchies of new industries, new organizations, understand what kind of roles are there in these different organizations, understand how the structure is going to be there. So this is what it is all about, and it also means that it is tremendous amount of hard work and enterprise. Why hard work? Because each client is very unique, and for example, if I have to illustrate give a small example, if Infosys is going to be a client for an executive search role, obviously you have to understand the technology industry very well. You need to understand where these candidates are going to come from. Infosys itself is a large organization, so anybody who is wanting to go to a senior role in Infosys kind of an organization needs to have that span of control, needs to come from such a large organization, and if not equally large, maybe the next level in terms of size, capabilities and things like that. So it calls for an understanding of different industries. It calls for an understanding of the movers and shakers in the industry, leadership level movements in the industry, which is all publicly available information. I mean, as long as you have the urge, you have the knack to probably catch hold of current news across industries, speak to more and more people and things like that, these things come very naturally. But what is essential is tremendous amount of enterprise, tremendous amount of hard work. For example, from the outside it might look very, very easy to hire. We all say hire a CTO, but essentially to hire a CTO for a large company like, for example, this is Infosys or a Wipro or any non-IT company also, it is not going to take anything less than 6 to 8 months. That is the kind of search process. That is why they say this process is very, very time consuming. If you look at conventional recruitment, the turnaround time for conventional recruitment roles are very, very fast. For example, assuming that you are presently a senior programmer and you want to become a project leader, obviously that role has to be filled in very fast. There is somebody who has been on that role, and the kind of skills and competencies required for a project leader are not at a very, very highest level in the organization. It is just that the person has to have good coding skills, to manage good team management skills, probably good client interaction skills, and a good amount of client engagement and team engagement skills. So this is all suffices. Whereas on the same thing, if you draw the similar role to a very, very large organization as a CEO or a CXO or a CTO, if you understand, the kind of capabilities are very, very different. From a plain tactical capabilities from a candidate, leadership candidate requires extreme level of strategical and tactical mix. Somebody who has got an understanding of different geographies, somebody who's got the ability to execute large projects, and somebody who's got the ability to drive organizations from 1,000 crore turnover to a 2,000 crore turnover. I'm just giving an example. These numbers are very, very hypothetical. What I'm trying to impress here is the kind of depth of understanding, depth of knowledge which is required to deliver roles in executive search is very, very high. Extreme level of patience is required. In a lot of cases, these organizations already have finished one round of search by themselves, and because they have failed at identifying a suitable candidate, then they are coming back to an executive search firm to take the services of the firm in hiring such a person. So in that sense, these kind of tasks are doubly taxing. It is not a very, very easy job. It is not like hiring managers, senior managers, etc. for any organization, which what is called as contingency firms do. So in that sense, executive search firms also, in terms of skills required on the job, call for extreme amount of persistence, extreme amount of patience, the ability to talk to hundreds and hundreds of senior candidates in discretion, colored information from them, even take references from them and find out who could be more suitable, who could be more appropriate, engage with appropriate candidates in in a very nice way, in a very refined way, and probably don't touch any raw nerves. Because very, very importantly, if you just imagine you to talk to CEOs of organizations as you are going to hire them with the help of a team, it is not very, very easy. It requires an entirely different set of competencies, extreme level of confidence, extreme level of smartness, not alone that kind of understanding of that particular space. If you're going to talk to a CEO of an automobile company, you have to at least know the basics of the automobile company, what kind of things are happening there. Otherwise, you will get a sorry figure. So this is a kind of mix required, and so it is essentially not about the overall number of years of experience. Yes, even someone with about 3 years of experience who's very, very sharp and intelligent, who's got a fair amount of intellect, can do these roles. As I said, the titles will be very, very different. Even if somebody with 8 years of work experience is a research associate in executive search firm, and somebody with 20 years of experience can be a partner or senior partner. So the roles, the nomenclatures again differ very, very broadly between different types of organizations. Multinational executive search firms have very different nomenclature for titles. Indian firms have very, very different nomenclature for titles. But essentially the role is the same. Essentially the role is to hire talent at the topmost level across functional areas, and someone who can head all those functional areas, cross-functional areas, as a CEO, CXO, or managing director, or even somebody at a board of directors. So envision you as somebody who is going to facilitate this whole process for the client as a part of a team in an executive search firm. And if you think you're fitting well, you are someone who can do this role, and that is a very, very exciting career option irrespective of where you are in your career. I would say today Indian executive search firm and transnational executive search firms are looking for people with any kind of experience, but somebody who's got that killer instinct to deliver on assignments, deliver roles, and also have the interest to play a supportive role in terms of smaller teams where you get engaged with the client partner within the executive search firm and work with the partner in delivering such exciting assignments. As I said, for research associates, yes, they look at freshers or someone with experience. Education background, there is nothing, no hard and fast and rule. But thanks to the need for some amount of analytical skills, many executive search firms do prefer engineering candidates to some extent, but it is not a must at all. Even if you are a simple graduate, a BCom graduate or a BSc graduate or an arts and science graduate, science and engineering degree, even that suffices as long as you have the understanding of this space, and as long as something like this, whatever I spoke till now excites you. The biggest advantage in executive search is it is a huge option for mid-career shift seekers. A lot of us get stuck at 5-10 years of experience or even 15 years of experience, either because of our wrong career planning or because the organizations whom we worked with, as far as the functional area or the domain area considered, have not been able to grow us beyond a point. For such people also, executive search is a wonderful career option. Any good executive search firm is very, very happy to hire people at all levels and people from all industries, as long as they have a basic understanding of how that space works, and more than that, they have the urge to learn and unlearn whatever they've done till now. So I would probably really rate executive search career as a great option if you are really willing to look at or consider options in mid-career. It is a very, very interesting area to be in, and more than that, even compensation is very, very attractive. The base compensation can be very, very low. You really can't compare the base compensation of functional or the base compensation of the conventional industry roles to an executive search role, because their base compensations have to be low. It purely depends on how many senior assignments the company closes in a particular year, so that based on that revenue sharing mode goes, and people really get a huge variable pay. If your present compensation is about 15 lakhs per annum or 20 lakhs per annum, an executive search firm typically would pay you a fixed compensation much lesser, maybe 10-12 lakhs per annum, but a variable compensation will be very, very high. A variable compensation, if the particular executive search firm does well in that particular year and they clock a billing of about a few crore rupees, they even share about 20% of whatever earnings that come from a particular assignment to the individual team members, which means if the client bill is about 1 crore and 20 lakhs is the consultant bill, on 20 lakhs roughly around 2-3 lakhs even comes to the team members, which means if there are about 2-3 roles which you do in a particular year, you can easily earn 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs extra. And compensation really is not a great problem for executive search roles, as far as you're willing to work on a very, very flexible compensation, particularly a much lesser basic compensation and a very, very high variable compensation. It is very, very lucrative, and if you really want to probably run a marathon in the executive search space, you really will be very, very rich compared to being in the industry, is what my observations would say. Of course, all this information I'm basing it on my own experience in executive search firms. I've had tremendous amount of learnings in executive search firms, despite the fact that I really didn't start off in executive search even when I started my career. I dabbled in too many functional areas. I dabbled in sales initially, frontline sales, then moved to marketing, then a stint in PR, then a stint in logistics, and then moved on to executive search, which really was able to put me on a platform or a canvas where I could appreciate the kind of efforts which go into hiring talent at leadership level, primarily because of my exposure to various different industries. But again, a cross-functional or cross-industry experience is not a must. Even if you work only in one industry for a few years and then you want to seek an option in executive search, that is completely possible. As I said, irrespective of whichever industry they are delivering mandates in or that delivering assignments in, executive search firms are very agnostic when it comes to hiring people from different industries. I've seen people from IT working on non-IT roles. I've seen people with non-IT background, completely non-IT background, hiring CTOs and CXOs for large technology companies like Wipro and all those things. So this is the kind of flexibility which is available in executive search as a career. A very, very open-ended career you can create in executive search firm. Unfortunately, all this information is very, very not many people are privy to such information as to how executive search is a wonderful career option. A very, very limited amount of information is available on forum like internet and things like that, and that is the reason I decided to put up this video as a part of a career option series, which again I'll be making a separate playlist. So in essence, what I want to put in a nutshell is, if you are really looking at an exciting option in terms of moving from your current industry or a current role and taking an entirely different challenge, willing to learn, willing to have the experience of working with very, very senior people, willing to rub shoulders and keep talking to a lot of senior people just to have a grip of how things work in their end, understand their domain well, and deliver probably handful of very, very senior roles to client organizations, either directly or through your senior partner or your leader in the executive search firm. It is a wonderful career option. I'm sure not many of you have been aware of executive search as a business. I've not been very exhaustive, I should say. Again, whatever information I have is based on anecdotal. I'm not going on any data. It is purely based on anecdotal evidence. But by and large, whatever I have communicated is very close to facts, and for sure there is nothing like what I've stated is not a fact. So in that sense, you can use this information to come to a judgment and come to a conclusion. If you really want to consider executive search as a career option, I would think it is a wonderful career option at any part of a career. I have seen people who have moved to executive search even in their late 40s and early 50s, had a very fruitful decade of career ahead in the executive search firms, and really have probably come out with flying colors as some of the best executive search professionals in their space or in that part of the country. So that is the information I want to share in this video. I'll put up an entire series depending on the experience and expertise or knowledge I have about any specific industry. I'm using that information to help people make career choices. I'm sure this video has been helpful to you. In case you got any specific questions about executive search as a career option, feel free to comment or leave a note on the comment section. I for sure will respond to you with what information I can. But in essence, what I wanted to put across is, irrespective of who you are, what you are a he or she or whatever, executive search is a perfect career option at any level or at any point in your career path, and it is worth considering. Thanks a lot. It was wonderful speaking to you and sharing such great information on career options with you. Thank you. I'll see you soon.